All right, with that said, I have got 12 o'clock on my time. And our next presentation that we are moving on to is our Discovery Services update from Jay Holloway at OCLC. Jay is the Director of End User Platform Services within the Global Product Management Division at OCLC, where he focuses on the end-to-end user experience from discovery through delivery. So Jay, whenever you are ready, go ahead and share your screen if you choose to do so, and we'll go from there.
Great, thank you so much. Can you hear me and can you see the screen?
Yes, it looks good. Thank you.
Thank you for confirming. All right, hello everyone. So happy to be here with Moog. I was just looking, while I still have nowhere near Jay Weitz's tenure, I am in my 7th Moog year, which seems hard to believe. So thank you for having me again. So today we'll look at the suite of end user solutions. I always like to start with that, so you know if you have access to some of the solutions that we're talking about today. You likely do. Provide an update on worldcat.org and visibility. Then we'll transition to some updates within the WorldCat Discovery product as well. At any point, if you have any questions, I'll keep an eye on the chat and try to answer them if I can as we go. So feel free to do that. Otherwise, we should have a few minutes at the end as well. So the scope of our discussion today is within the end user products at OCLC, First Search and WorldCat Discovery. So if you use First Search, you have access to a version of WorldCat Discovery as well. And with the First Search and Discovery subscription, you also get web visibility through WorldCat. So getting your library collections promoted through worldcat.org, as well as through major search indexes such as Google. And just to describe the types of content that is searched over these different applications. So within First Search, that searches the WorldCat database. So the First Search databases are a part of that as well, kind of different subsets of WorldCat. WorldCat.org is both a database and a user interface. So it's the publicly available, free to use interface for all of our end users that is supported by our member libraries at OCLC. So that searches across the WorldCat database, as well as millions of article records within the worldcat.org database as well. So that includes a lot of open access content, as well as many records that you will be familiar with through your license subscriptions. And then finally, the largest set of content is searched over WorldCat Discovery, which includes an additional set of about 3,000 collections that require licensed subscriptions to access. So to search over them, you just need to turn them on and configure them within WorldCat Discovery. And so if you're interested in what collections are available through these products, that's also available through oc.lc/index discovery. So knowing that users start their search typically outside of the library, typically users start their search on major search indexes such as Google, it's very important that we get library collections onto the web wherever possible. So within those search indexes where users start. So 2 exciting initiatives in the last year launched for your visibility subscription. So the first is the all-new worldcat.org. So if you haven't searched yet, you can go ahead and search for worldcat.org if you'd like to while we're doing this at home. And peruse through, you'll find that it's a completely redesigned experience that reaches more people with both mobile-friendly, so touch-assistive devices, and accessible experiences. So it's a mobile-ready experience that is responsive to any application or product, any device that the user is on, which means that we're connecting more people to your library with additional tools to also promote your collections. So some of those are some featured topic pages where we curate different collections together, as well as some customized lists that libraries are generating. And I have an example that I found from a music library, actually. In addition to this, We also not only link the user into your local catalog to access print materials, but if you use the OCLC knowledge base, we also will promote your electronic resources. So use of the WorldCat knowledge base will ensure access with like one-click access from worldcat.org into your licensed subscriptions. So going into an example list. So this is a list curated by University of Louisville Music Library. It was just updated on February 13th. And you can see that it's a list of their new scores. So if you're interested in some of the new scores that they're collecting, this is where they are adding them. You can follow that list, you can create your own, and you can also share it with others. So a great way to collaborate and share curated works and collections with your users and other librarians. The second aspect to visibility is ensuring seamless, easy access within the search index itself. So for example, within Google. And we have an all new library link experience within Google that launched just a few months ago, where on the left-hand side here, I did a search for a work, History of Modern Art, and I can see in the Google Knowledge card, so the left-hand side here is in Google, it is the Google Knowledge pane, a library. We promoted the library link to borrow that material directly from Google. So with one click, I get direct access to the material within the library collection. In this case, Pepperdine happens to use WorldCat Discovery as their local catalog as well. So that's why you're seeing Discovery, but it would be whatever your local catalog is. So seamless, easy access right from the place that the user started their search. So who's eligible for this program? Our initial phase is focused on print books for the US. In collaboration with Google, we had to ensure very high quality link resolution into the catalog. So your library needs to pass some validation testing that we do, which means that your data needs to be well updated in both your local catalog and within WorldCat. Public, academic, government, and special libraries with visibility subscriptions are eligible. And we plan to continue to roll this out to additional libraries and formats within the program as we mature it. So if you would like to be in a better position to be eligible for it, or you just want to maximize access to your library's impact, you can maintain up-to-date holdings in WorldCat in the WorldCat knowledge base. So we have an all-new streamlined holdings update project that you can request to get quick updates to holdings. You can also request an automated holdings feed for knowledge-based collections. So this helps with both print and electronic holdings within WorldCat. After completing these streamlined holdings updates, we then recommend that you ensure those identifiers get added back into your local catalog. We also suggest that you check your library profile in the WorldCat registry to make sure all of your information is up to date there. That information is used to provide some metadata about the library within our visibility subscription. And we also suggest that you confirm your library location on Google Maps. So the libraries that are promoted is based on the user's location. So having your library location affiliate with the user location is important for that experience to display to the user in the first place. So we'll provide these slides so you have access to all of these, so don't worry about trying to hurry to get all those links down. But those are some of the steps that we recommend to maximize your library's visibility on the web through WorldCat. I did get a question, how frequently is the worldcat.org database refreshed? So worldcat.org is a combination of databases from our central index providers. So those are updated as frequently as daily. And also any updates done within our cataloging services update WorldCat immediately. So as soon as changes are made in WorldCat, the changes are reflected in worldcat.org. They're all live updates. So moving into WorldCat Discovery, I want to provide a few updates here. So the two big updates I want to talk through is last year, we talked about an initiative to focus on diversity, equity, inclusion within WorldCat Discovery. So we have delivered on some of the functionality for that experience. So I'll summarize kind of what that is and what we've delivered and what's coming next. And then the other pieces we're doing, we're in the middle of validating a solution for an all new advanced search experience within WorldCat Discovery, targeted for some of our more advanced users, such as yourselves on this call, as well as faculty, expert degree researchers, and other librarians at your library. If you've used First Search, it might feel a little familiar. So just a spoiler alert there. So focusing on WorldCat Discovery, diversity, equity, and inclusion. To start, so I'm going to talk about descriptive content and the way that we can help to make that more inclusive. So to start, what is the benefit of globally derived and controlled metadata? So WorldCat, it provides a continuously updated, I just mentioned it's continuously updated as soon as changes are made within our cataloging tools. It's scalable data model, so it supports aggregating and normalizing data across thousands of libraries globally. And it supports then access and reuse of that metadata for member libraries. So just one example that we talked through last year. So this is an example about a year old now. OCLC received an updated Library of Congress subject heading on the 30th of November, and we're able to implement those changes within a few days. So that changed about 40,000 records within the WorldCat database. And that doesn't count all of the records that were then derived or pulled down from WorldCat into local catalogs. So not only was it changed in WorldCat, it was changed in all of our member library local catalogs that were subscribing to it very rapidly. The changes that happened to go in for this one were changing aliens to non-citizens and splitting illegal aliens into two headings, non-citizens and illegal immigration. So we spoke last year to some work that our OCLC research team was doing on reimagining descriptive workflows. And a key piece of that was that appropriate descriptive language is, of course, a complex space, and it's one that centers on human identity and relationships. And to me, that means that we then need more localized experiences, more localized descriptive content to support the variety of cultural needs that we have for the language that describes our materials, our bibliographic material. So one example of that I'll describe is using our ability to localize subject display heading for within WorldCat Discovery. So using this feature, I can promote more inclusive language with these localized subjects. And the great thing about this is that it impacts only the display of the heading. So that way, the controlled heading within our indexes, you still get the benefit of being able to search controlled subject headings, to search it across libraries worldwide, to know that everyone is using the same heading to mean the same thing. But then you can localize the display to exactly what makes most sense for your library and your library users. So an example of this is the subject heading for blind. My library is aiming to support person first language. So I've replaced this term with person who is blind. So able to put the person first and then the qualifier after rather than before. We've replaced this within the search results. Within the item details, the link to the subject heading is replaced as well. And when a user clicks on that, since we've not actually changed the underlying data, a custom warning that the library can configure displays to let the user know you're about to see language that you may not have known was there. Would you like to continue? If so, they can continue. We run the search of blind and they get all the search results back. This is fully customizable by the local library. So you can define what these subject heading replacements are, and we have a shared file that's available for anyone. You don't need to be using WorldCat Discovery. We tried to put this in as a reusable place as possible so that anyone trying to do this work can benefit from the different regions and groups that are trying to accomplish this. So with this document, libraries can share their work and collaborate with each other, benefit from the contributions of others. You can use this as a starting point to then pull down your own local copy, change it to meet your needs, and then update it into our configuration service. And you can access or share region-specific remappings. So for terminology that just does not make sense in different cultures, so for example, indigenous populations within the United States versus First Nations populations within Canada. There are different histories and different cultural contexts for why those terms make sense for those different groups, and they don't reflect each other across borders. So going from this, the first phase was simply to change the display. And the next phase is utilizing a search expansion feature that we have that will then take the heading that you've replaced with so in our example, person who is blind, you'd be able to map that as a search expansion so that you can also search on that term and get back all of the controlled headings as well. So I could search person who is blind and get back all of the LCSH headings for blind within the search results. You'll also be able to define a specific authority source for local subject replacements so that you can choose if I only want this to apply to LCSH and not mesh, or I only want it to apply to mesh and not LCSH. Whatever combination you're interested in can be defined within that file. So that is what's coming next with diversity, equity, inclusion. So the term replacements are available today, and the search expansions are coming later this year. Likely in the summer to fall timeframe. Yes, Michelle, thanks so much for sharing that. So in this example, if there is any contention or disagreement, that's where we think the library has the ability to solicit feedback from stakeholders and rapidly make those changes. The benefit of the global shared vocabularies is that they are globally shared and can be reused everywhere. But the detriment is that they are very slow to change because it takes a large group of stakeholders to make the changes and update them. With the local terms, I could rapidly, based on your feedback, and I will do this, change the terminology so that I can easily update the local terms within my local display. So thanks for sharing that, because that's great. And just speaks to, of course, the complexity in describing identity and people. There is always room to improve and grow and learn. So as we learn, we can more rapidly change those terms now with this tool than what I could do with only the global controlled vocabularies alone. So we have a question: if one label might violate state educational policies, would geolocation implement certain labels versus others? So it's just based on your institution symbol. So for your symbol, you define what the display terms are. So it doesn't have anything to do with the location of the user. It's your institution's implementation of WorldCat Discovery. Does that help? Did I answer? Great. Okay. All right, so going to our next topic, we have advanced search modernization. So 2 years ago, we modernized the search results and item details page within WorldCat Discovery, and we are choosing experiences to continue to modernize. So some pages we're just kind of doing a quick refresh. On others, such as advanced search, we wanted to take more time to understand how to better meet user needs within that experience. So it takes a little bit more upfront research and design in order to get these changes made. So some of the aims that we have for this work are to provide an advanced search experience that's consistent with the rest of the modernized WorldCat Discovery interface, to provide improvements based on user experience research that we've done, as well as our customer feedback from focus groups and discussions. And most importantly, to support more successful user search journeys for faculty, librarians, and expert researchers. So providing you the tools you need to conduct highly precise research within your discovery instance. So don't worry about the tiny display. I will zoom in on different aspects of this, but this is the kind of overall modernized advanced search for faculty, librarians, and expert researchers. So we'll kind of dig down into the different sections of this page, but this replaces the current advanced search experience within WorldCat Discovery. Once we're complete with it, then that page will be deprecated in favor of this one. So just to kind of look at a few different areas, there is a much simpler way to select databases. So it's a drop-down menu of all the available databases where you can type in terms and quickly refine it to select individual databases that you're interested in. You can clear them all with one action. You can select and populate up to 5 rows of different search index parameters. So if I wanted to do keyword, author, title, subject, whatever combination of search indexes, as well as then the Boolean operator to connect each one is customizable per line. Moving down the page, I then have some different search tools. So I can limit to open access or peer-reviewed articles. Can choose the format or subformat type if I just want print book or ebooks or articles. Can choose, of course, the year range, language and audience, and content type. And completely new to our advanced search experience is a feature to search by library code. So if I want to filter the display to a specific, sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. I'm like just at the tail end of a cold. So I'm at that, like, you know, just a little congested, but not too much. And you can filter by the library code. So if I just want to see another library's holdings, I can do that in addition to my local library scopes and my library groups, which are there under the held by section. And you can also then refine the display and some of the search, additional search tools. So I can choose to show all, I can hide duplicates, or I can group editions and formats. For those of you that use First Search, the show all option displays every WorldCat record, regardless of whether or not there's a parallel record with it. So that's similar to the First Search experience. And you can also expand your search to include related terms. So using the controlled authority vocabularies, you can choose to expand from a related term to the controlled heading using that service. You can also choose the default sort. So for example, you could choose the most widely held sort, which is the default First Search option, or you can use one of the WorldCat Discovery relevance options, which are intended to help surface the best known item and topical results possible. We're also updating the library's worldwide display to offer some additional functionality there. So for example, you can search by location. We're going to add some additional features to this over time. So this is setting us up to have a full immersive experience with worldwide library holdings within WorldCat Discovery. We have this data today, but it's kind of nested into a panel. So it's kind of within the item details page. This will give us more space to add additional features to this design as we continue. And so the next 3 slides are some kind of key use cases that we're aiming to improve. So the first use case is for users that select a filter on the advanced search and go into the search results. How do I maintain that connection from the filter I selected to the search results? So today we take, if the user selects the dropdown of article on the advanced search page, that converts to this kind of complex command line type searching within WorldCat Discovery, where we say integrative biology, and then we add a Boolean and then add the format index, EXO index for article chapter. After this work, it'll just simply select the filter so that you see article chapter is selected and it's selected at the top. So it is much easier to see the cause and effect relationship to I selected article chapter on the advanced search page, and then I see it in the search results. It will also make the search box easier to change. So for users not as comfortable with command line searching, they can quickly make changes without having to know how to manipulate each part of the query. Next piece is modifying a search that originates in advanced search. So in this example, I've selected integrative biology, and then I selected the filter for article chapter. And when I go into the advanced search, again, all of that content gets put into the first search box instead of kind of parsing it out into the screen. So after this work, we'll put the integrative biology into a search term box, and then the format selection would just populate the advanced search format box with article chapter. So again, easier to identify what happened in the search results to what's happening in the advanced search. So switching back and forth, we're trying to make that switch as seamless as possible so that a user doesn't have to understand complex queries to successfully switch back and forth. And the last scenario that I'll speak to is parsing complex Boolean searches. So in this case, I have a string of maybe 4 different Booleans that I've put together across different indexes. And when I go back into advanced search, so like let's say I created that advanced search and I go back today, I see all of that in one search box. It's all clumped together. After this work, we will parse that out into each of the search boxes with the correct operator and search index selected for the user so that they can quickly make changes to the terms and resubmit the search, again, without having to understand that kind of command line searching. Of course, command line searching will still work if you're comfortable with it and you like to use that. But this makes it easy for those that have not learned how to use that type of functionality. So that is what I had today. I want to open it up to any other questions that we might have.
Hello, I have a question. I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand.
Hi. Yeah, sure.
Hey, this is an area newcomer, and thank you. And I just had a question about how you're ranking and grouping when the user chooses to keep them grouped. Because I think it behaves sometimes unpredictably, and that I think it's most helpful when the users results with a lot of holdings and results that are locally or near you are the ones that the user sees first. And I was looking at it the other day, and it does seem like you've made some improvements in the last year, or maybe I was just lucking out, but have you worked on it in the last year and made some changes?
Yeah, we are actually right in the middle of a transition to a new search platform. So some of you are on the new search platform, some of you are not. So I don't want to kind of confuse the conversation today, but we are in the middle of that transition. We're expecting that to complete here pretty soon. So there is documentation on the community center if you're curious whether or not your institution is on that new platform right now. So some of the key benefits of that are if you use the best match algorithm, that previously did not look at library holdings as a boost. And after this work, both all 3 of the relevance algorithms, best match, recency, and the library algorithms will all use library holdings to some degree. So that means that we're trying to surface what's curated by your library as a boost. So it's one of many different kind of levers we're looking at. So is it a good title match? Is there author matches? Is there subject matches? Is there some words that match in the notes fields? As well as, is it locally held? Is it recent? There's a large variety of factors that we look at that all combine into an algorithm to decide what is most relevant for the user. So with Solar, we had a search pilot last August that we conducted where we saw measurable improvements with both known title and topical searching. And that is just kind of just the start. So we're aiming to, now that we're on this new search platform, make more rapid iterative changes. So it won't be this kind of big bang release like it was to get onto the new platform. We'll get to see many more incremental improvements as well now that we're there. Does that help, Nara?
Absolutely, thank you.
Great, you're welcome. I see a hand, Mark.
Hi. A warning that this is coming from a cataloger who never looks in worldcat.org, but because you invited us to look in the new interface, I did. And I was looking at some records for sound recordings that I cataloged yesterday. And one of the things I noticed that the display includes a field called numeric designations, which I'm assuming, I don't know where those are coming from, whether they're coming from at entries for the works themselves, or whether they're coming from a 383 field. But what struck me as odd was that they are divorced from any title. And the in this case, I'm looking at a sound recording that has a Beethoven concerto on it and a Schubert impromptu. And so the numeric designations are there for the concerto, and for the impromptu, there's a genre heading for concertos and there's a subject heading for impromptus, but there's no title field in the record that says concertos or says impromptus. And I didn't know whether that was a bug or a feature.
I would guess that's an opportunity to optimize the mark display. But if you could send that example in the chat, I'll have we can get the worldcat.org team to take a look at it to see what's going on there.
Okay, will do.
And thanks for looking. Any other questions? Great. I just want to thank you all for your time as always. And it looks like Margaret's about to hop on. So thank you.
Yes, if there are more questions, we definitely have time, but I also don't want to keep people, engaged if they'd rather take a little bit longer break here.
Gift of a break is always great on conference.
Yeah. All right. And thank you, Jay, for your presentation. As always, we love hearing about what's going on, or I do, with the public services side of the house, because I dip my toes in that water so seldom. So, all right. According to my clock, I've got 12:33 Central Time, and our next session is scheduled to begin at 1. So, as I'd said at the beginning of our sessions, I hate to have us start early because that really throws off timing for those people who are wanting to join us at 1 o'clock for the next session. So I think we're just going to take a little extra long break at the moment. So I would say at this time, I'm going to stop the recording. And if everybody wants to go and take a little bit of time to stretch and move around and do so, we'll resume at 1 o'clock Central Time for our next session. Thank you all.